listening to Second Wind with Joyce Buford, where women who are ready to expand their life adventure discover the tools to stop playing small and tap into the courage required to enjoy their second wind. Welcome. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. As always, I look forward to our time. Today, I wanted to bring into your awareness the ability you have every year to create the year that you want. Now, this seems like far-fetched, having gone through what we're still going through, which is COVID, which is a governmental breakdown. There's any sorts of things you could look out there and get really depressed about. But as Americans, we know there's always another side. There's always a tomorrow. And we will make it through this. Maybe not next year, but we will make it through this as well. So all the listeners out there, I really want you to know the power that you have in creating a year that you want. Now, this is happening in January 2021. And so I think sometimes we feel almost like a victim of the circumstances. And so as I listen to all of the different social media, the news, which I really try to limit because it really gives us sort of a picture of victimhood. And so I want to make very clear that for years, people have been creating their goals. Now, if you come from a business background, you may say, oh, goals. Oh, goals are really the rudders that keep a business going. It's how a business projects every year what they want their year to go through. And if you're a successful business, you have goal setting as one of your top strategies for running your company. But if you're a successful businessman, if you're a successful individual, you also have the ability to create goals. I have found through my experience in working with women for 20 plus years that we particularly like a different, less formal type of creating our vision. And we do that, or the vision for the year. We call it a vision board. Now, it's exactly the same thing as listing your goals for the year, but we do it through visual aids. I can honestly say that of all of the vision board workshops that I have taught one-to-one with classes, and I've done that for over 10 years, that and it's a lot of fun when you go to a vision board workshop because there's such a sense of creativity that goes on in the room. And I'm going to explain how that happens. So in all of the time that I've been doing it, I think there's only been one class that actually had men involved. And that was because it was a real estate class and it was about creating their vision board. Vision board is a way to get to those goals or dreams. We can use the two words. They mean the same. That you want to create in your life. Now, some people will say, what do you mean? That's kind of hokey. You can't do that through a vision. But I want to tell you you can. And there's years of success stories. Everybody in the entrepreneur world, for sure, uses a vision board if they want to have a successful year moving forward. Now, as a woman that maybe doesn't work outside of the home, you might say, well, why would I want to do that? Honestly, far too many of us women that do not go outside to work, that stay in our home environments. And yes, we work there. I'm not sliding that in the least because I've been in both positions. But I think we are sometimes slow to realize the power that we have over our lives. So I really feel it's very important today that I share this with you because I can't do it through a class. And this way I can reach many more people through this podcast. So I wanted to tell you what is a vision board. So a vision board is putting your desires, your wants, and we normally break it down into a year period. So we would say for your vision board for 2021, what are those things that you want to have in your life? What do you feel is important? How do you focus? What do you want to see change? That is what a vision board is. Now, I'm going to go through and kind of give you examples and also tell you how to do it. But I've also provided for you a vision board guide, which you can go to my website, and it's called JoyceBufordEmpowers.com/VB guide. There you will get a guide for you to help you walk through the process. But if you happen to have a pen and pencil today, you can also get this information through my teaching. So the first thing we have to do is you and I have to get very clear about what we want our year to look like. Now, there's usually a personal side to us. There is a relational side to us. There's a career side to us. There's a financial side to us. And I really recommend, and I could go on, there's educational, there's growth. There are a lot of different, maybe 7 different areas that make up our lives. I usually recommend that you select 4 of these areas to create a vision board. You can do more than that, but it's really kind of hard, and you'll see as I move through this, the process that you must do also after completing your vision board daily so that it can be powerful and bring that vision towards you. So the first thing we must do is decide what we want to do, who we want to be, and what we want to have in our life. Now, this takes reflection. Let me tell you, you've got to get the basics down. You've got to know who you are. You've got to know what you want. So I'm going to give you a very easy example. Let's say I am looking at wanting to buy a new car this year. This is the year. And so I decide that I want a new car. Well, you can't just say, I want a new car, because there are lots of cars out there, and that would grossly underestimate that you cannot get just any car. You must be very specific as to what car. So if you wanted a Cadillac, if you wanted a truck, if you wanted a van, you need to have and look for pictures that represent what you want. Now, we want to be specific, because if we're asking the universe to give us a car or work with us so we get a car through our thoughts over the year, then we need to have a picture of an example I've done. of me sitting in the new Cadillac, the color I want, sitting in, and somebody took my picture. Yes, I went down to the dealership. I sat in my car. I asked the salesman to take my picture, which he was very happy to do. Potential sale, potential sale. So he took my picture. That picture became the picture on my vision board, or one of the pictures on my vision board that year. Sounds simple? It is. But you have to get clear about the area of your life the areas that you want to focus on that year. So for me, it's normally relationships, which would take in friends and family. Then there's also career, since I'm a coach, podcast host, and I love my work. And so I want it to grow. I want to reach more people. So I want to teach now in the entrepreneur world of coaching. We have, because of the pandemic, have moved from one-on-one coaching to group coaching, online coaching. So that's a difference, and it's a change in the business. Then always financial seems to be part of my life. So who doesn't want more money to make life easier? For me also, I have to say I love to travel. Now, my wings have been cut because of the travel and the COVID, but I still want to go from here to another state. And maybe I can do that after I get my COVID shots. So I want to do that. This is for the year 2021. And I hope by the second half of 2021, we have more freedom because I've taken my COVID vaccines. So once you get clarity about what you want, then you go find your pictures. Now, many of us, and let me back up a minute and say, what we use to put our pictures on can either be electronic or hard surface. So we're going to do hard surface today because that's normally what most people do unless they travel all the time, and then they choose to go electronic. But most of my women that I work with will choose poster board, which it's just the kind we used in school, actually. Or I've even used, just in exploring different services, I did a tack board. So I used tacks instead to put my pictures up on the board. And I usually group my topics together. So top left of the poster board is about my relationships. Top right is about my career. Bottom right is about travel. Bottom left is about finances. And so that's how I've broken up my board, or either my tack board or my poster board. Now you can get creative and do other types of gathering boards, but that's just a simple explanation. After you do your first one, you may really want to explore and make it special. So then once we have decided what our topics or our areas of improvement will be that year, of dreaming will be, and by dreaming, we consider those things that are going to change our life. They're going to enrich our life. So then we go to the magazines, or we can go to the computer and Google and print out what we want, or we can take a picture at the car dealership. Or if we're wanting love, we can find pictures in magazines of two people holding each other. It's the picture of the end result. I was sitting in my car and I was in the driver's seat. I was in the arms of my lover and we were happy and we were having a great time. So, are you getting the message here? You're creating a vision board that has pictures of the end results because those pictures that you choose to put on your board must bring an emotion to you, even when you're looking at them, so that you feel excited about that. And you look at the picture and you say, that's it. That's me. That's what I want. And so you cut it out and you put it on your vision board. We also use inspirational quotes or words, courage, challenge, goes the limit, sky's the limit. Inspiring quotes that say, as you move forward, you will get stronger. Use your favorite person for getting quotes. Einstein has some great quotes that are always very good. The magazines that I use for cutting out pictures are usually topic magazines. Oprah's magazine is fantastic for words, images, and pictures. So there are some that are better than not. But if you are a golfer and you want a picture of you on the golf course, then you might have to go to a golfing magazine. So sometimes you have to go out and seek the magazines that actually give you the dream that you're wanting. Then there's also travel. You would go to a travel magazine usually to get, or you can just Google on the internet and get a picture of a city that you want to visit. Now, the power of the vision board is that what we focus on, we attract into our lives. That is a law of attraction, a principle of one of the principles of energy. So for those people that say this is hocus pocus, it's not hocus pocus. There is actually a law that applies, a physics law that applies to the vision board. So keeping things current in our mind, up front, visiting that vision board daily, feeling the emotions of the trip, the dream, the new car, the new romance, all of that keeps an energy level and attracts that dream to you. So, one of the things that I like most about doing a vision board, for me, it opens up my creativity and how I express myself. It's like I'm playing. I'm playing for sure, but it's like I'm reclaiming the creativity part of me, the creative part of me through my creativity. I have seen some absolute awesome vision boards. Matter of fact, later on in the show today, I'm going to have a friend of mine who attended my vision board workshop. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. And she is very creative. She is an artist. And when people come to workshops, they're at all different levels. They're the very creative person. And then there's the lady that cuts out the picture, tapes it on, glues it on the board, and then she cuts out another rectangular picture and glues it on in the appropriate area on the board. But then she takes her words that she likes, which awesome, amazing, powerful, happy, fulfilled, love, and she dots those around her poster board. So a poster board or the vision board is very unique to you. And nobody ever makes the same vision board. As they complete their year and they attract into their life the vision board that they want to live for this year, or the things they want to achieve in their life, many times they may take that vision off, or they'll replace it by a new vision, or they just may leave it on there as proof that synchronicities, that by thinking of it, by emotionally connecting with your dream, can actually bring it to you. Another thing you'll see in that guide that I prepared, and again, let me tell you those call it, or the URL. It's JoyceBufordEmpowers.com/VB, which is vision board guide. And when you go there, by leaving your name, I can keep in touch with you. And if you need any questions, you can always get me by that website. But it's going to this website that you'll be able to take a guide to help you walk through. I explained all of this information that I'm giving you today a little more in depth. And so it's a really handy tool to have. Now you could go to the Google, and you're also can Google vision board and see an never-ending list of ways to do vision boards, pictures to do vision boards that will be helpful to you, that may help you draw you into clarity about what you do want. You know, it's amazing that we can grow up and somehow as young people, we're very clear about what we want. We know we want this kind of life. Most little girls grow up with the Cinderella, I want to get married part of their life. And so anyway, but as we grow, sometimes we can almost dumb down our emotions. We stop feeling it. And it's just because of life. We get disappointed. We get we almost can think of ourselves as nothing works for me. I'm always going to live this life. And it's when our energy level goes down to those negative thoughts that we begin and become the person that never changes her life. This is the tool you need to do so that you can start changing your life. It's imperative that you do something different this year. 2020 is the year that you start making a difference in your life. Now, I have had, okay, so let's say you finish your board now. You have completed, and you just kind of get to the end, you say, this is full. I think this is enough. So you get to that inner knowing of it's done. I've had women say, oh, I'll take it home and finish it. And I know it will never get finished, because unless you stay on this project, you will probably not finish one of the most important things you can have in your life. It can make a difference. And so the next phase of this, so let's say you've completed your board. The next phase is to actually put your board in a place that you see it every day, because it's the seeing it every day that makes it top of mind. That's where it's got to be. It's got to be something that you revisit at least once a day. Now, what does revisiting mean to you? Well, if I have a vision board, and I normally put mine in my bedroom, you can put it in the bathroom, in the kitchen, in the hall, but it must be someplace that you pass every day. Otherwise, you will not do this practice. And this is one of the major keys in completing the process in having a powerful vision board. So take 10 minutes at bedtime to go quickly through your pictures on the board. And because you are looking at visions of completed gifts or dreams, then you look at the picture with, then you look at the picture with, I've completed this vision board. I am living my life. I am loving my new married life. I am living in my brand new house. It is the finished dream that you want to go to. It's the dream that you've already got it. So it's statements like, and emotions. You must feel the emotion. How does that make me feel to know I'm living in my dream house? How does that make me feel? And it's that feeling, it's that connection with it. And it's the repetitiveness of doing this every day. And if we're human and we forget, then we pick up where we stopped. And it becomes your reality. Will it all come true? Maybe not. Sometimes it takes longer for certain things to develop because you need to be more mature or something. So anyway, it's very important that you remember it has 3 phases: clarity, collect your board, get all your materials, and the most important is make it a daily emotional connection. Now we are going to go briefly to a break. And when we come back, I have a big surprise for you. So stay tuned.
Transformational coach, motivational speaker, and author Joyce Buford returns after this short break. Close your eyes and imagine living your life without limits. Where would you go? Who would you meet? What would you do? During an Uncover Your Hidden Genius session, you will discover what's keeping you from living your life with purpose, passion, and fulfillment of your potential. You'll get a clear vision of the steps you need to take to uncover your hidden genius so that you can live a life without limits. Sessions can be done over the phone, Skype, or in person. Find out more at www.joycebufordempowers.com or by calling 903-287-0747.
Walked into a room on a mission to get something and totally forgot what you went in there for? I do it all the time, which makes me feel like a total civhead, as the Brits would say. Some might blame it on old age, but a recent study reported in the Quarterly Journal of Experimental Psychology suggests the simple act of passing through a doorway causes memory lapses. It appears the brain regards a doorway as an event boundary and effectively files away whatever you were thinking about as soon as you step through. What's a word for the feeling your thoughts are being stolen? Nucleptia. So, what's the solution? Try carrying an object that reminds you of the task. For example, if you go into another room to get a pair of scissors, carry the object you want to cut. It's words you never heard. I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
Welcome back to this segment of Second Wind. Joyce Buford, the author of Effortless Happiness, continues in this segment to share insights that will help you live a life of greater purpose and filled with happiness. Now here's our host, author and coach, Joyce Buford.
Welcome back. Now, here is your surprise. My guest is Nita Fran Ward. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Nita Fran and why she's here. I've already mentioned her. She was that really good artist that was in my vision board class. See, I did mention you, Nita Fran.
Yes, you did.
I wish
Good
they
morning,
could see
Joy.
your board. It was
I
great.
know.
But let me tell you why.
I folded it up different, didn't I?
Nita Fran is a native of East Texas and a delightful woman. I met her 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. Anyway,
It's been 5. It's been 5, Joyce.
5? Oh, okay. She is the owner of Valarosa Designs and Gallery in Tyler, Texas. She is also an artist, and she designs Southwestern jewelry. Nita began designing jewelry with Navajo Brian Billy in 2001, and since then her jewelry has been purchased by many national and international collectors. Now, another thing that Nita Fran is so committed about is that she is an artist, a networker, and a leader. So as a networker, her main focus is art, of course, and she works with local artists to connect with buyers and with the community. She's worked with our UT Tyler in putting exhibitions on for her artists. I mean, this woman she's like the bunny, the battery bunny.
The battery bunny.
Yeah, the battery bunny. And I say that in the kindest way.
Oh, thank you.
She has done so much for art and artists in East Texas that I'm very proud to say she's a friend of mine and a vision board person.
So, I am. I'm a promoter.
Oh, you are. Now, I remember, I think it's been 3 years maybe since we did your class.
Yes, yes.
And Nita Fran, of course, she's artistic, and most people don't do this. But she referred just a minute ago about she started bending her corners down on her poster board and making it different shapes and all of this. I was like, looking at her in shock because, I mean, it's her. I mean, your board is a representation of you. And so it was very, very right on for her to do that. But I hadn't seen it really take place. I think it was.
Remember, Joyce?
Yes?
We were building a house and I cut out a big teepee and used it for my house.
You did?
I did.
Now, Nita Fran loves her example, she loves Indian art. And so,
yes, I do.
What's the attraction there, do you think, Nita Fran?
I don't know, and it's always been there, Joyce. I've always been fascinated with, I think it started with fringe and boots, really. Little fringes on my coats, and I used to, as a kid, I'd have leather coats with fringe on it and boots with fringe on it, and then it kind of was just a cowgirl thing that in time transferred over to my love for the Native American and their resilience and their talent is amazing. We spent 15 years in New Mexico, and the talent of those people was fascinating.
Tell me who we is. Who's
Bill
we?
and I, my husband and I. My husband and I lived in New Mexico 15 years.
Yes. Now, you went there because of Bill's work. Is that right? Or were you already there?
No, not really. The bottom line and the truth of it all was we just fell in love with New Mexico when we were in Texas. and thought
Mm-hmm.
when he retires, we're going to move and have an adventure. We went there to have an adventure. And Joyce, I went there looking for a young Native American jewelry maker that I could have him make my jewelry. That was part of the
Ah,
move. And
yeah.
I found him within
Huh?
less than a month of moving to New Mexico. I found him right there within 20 miles of where I was building a
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. They are extremely talented people.
Yes.
I've been, I also kind of walked down that road with you. I'm a fan of Santa Fe area. However,
Yes.
you were
You
not in
lived
Santa
there.
Fe. Where were you?
We were in Las Vegas. Well, actually, we were in a place called Pandaray Village, which was
Uh-huh.
a golfing resort village that was in a triangle area between Taos, Santa Fe, and Las Vegas.
Mm,
So we
yeah.
were back around on the mountains.
Right. Yeah.
But my gallery was in Las Vegas, in the old town of Las Vegas,
New Mexico.
New Mexico. Yes.
Right. We had
And
two
Joyce,
Las
an
Vegases
interesting
here.
thing to say about that is Las Vegas, New Mexico was the first Las Vegas, and the Maloof family who lived there moved on and helped establish Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh. Well, why'd they use
That's
the
a long
same
story.
name?
Huh? What did they?
Why
I'm sorry.
why did they use the same name? I'm wondering.
It means the meadow. Vega means the
Oh.
meadow, and
Oh.
it was a very flat area up against mountains.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, tell me about your vision board. What did you find was the most interesting? Did you have trouble putting it together? How did you break down the layout of your vision board?
And Joyce, I'll say that your direction was what put it from. I've always been someone to write things down, and I write down my goals every year, my long-term goals, my short-term goals, and almost every day. But
Mm-hmm.
when you were talking about putting together that vision board as a visual person, I got it. I got it from your direction. And then you lay out all these beautiful magazines for us to go to and cut out visual things to paste onto this piece of cardboard or that represented something that we were and we wanted to be, or that
Mm-hmm.
it something that was or we wanted to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so your direction and your leading us into that was very, very strong. And I recommend anyone who wants to find their way to try this, to give it an opportunity, because it really is, it's life changing. You suggested to us to take it home and put it somewhere where we could look at it constantly as a reminder. This is where I want to go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Now, sometimes when I say when you're going through the magazines, well, let's even back up. When you came did you know the areas that you wanted to address? Do you address the same areas every time you make your goals or visions for the
Yes,
year?
yes.
Okay.
It's always my personal, my business, and my spiritual and family. There's always those four things.
Right.
And within family, I break that down to my relationship with Bill and relationship with children, relationship with friends, and outer family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there are, I took areas of like financial, business, relationships, and I think I did travel. So
Yes,
there
and
is
it all fit
no,
together.
yeah, but there's no right way. It's so individual for everybody when they create their vision board. So I can't say there's a right way. They're all different. You put
Exactly.
spiritual in there. And so
Yes,
that's perfectly all right. That's great to do. But I
and
want
you
people,
gave us that license. You gave us that ability to. You gave us the layout, and then you said, "Go for it.
right,
Build it yourself. This is yours."
right. Yeah. So how important was it, and were you able to do the daily connection with the vision board after the class?
Yes, because there's so many times, because I'm so visual, I didn't have to look at it. I remembered it. And I would
Ah,
see that. I would see that tent. I would see that Indian tent, and I would see those different things that I put on it. I put jewelry on it, and I knew that I wanted to grow the gallery. I knew that I wanted to grow the art side of the gallery, and that was right after I started the radio show. And I remember finding a microphone, and I put that on there because I felt like that was such a valuable part of growing the art business in Tyler and getting people to realize how important art was in their lives, which was the reason we started the radio show, was an education part of it. And I remembered those things, and I kept focusing on those individual things in my life. I'm really good at compartmentalizing, and that's what you were asking us to do in a way. Compartmentalize your life. It all fits together, but compartmentalize it in such a way that you can focus on something when it's time to focus on that.
right. So you did the vision board, you put the microphone in there, and then was it after that fact that the show showed up, or that you took action on it, or what was the process?
No, I had already been doing it, but I knew that I wanted to put more of myself into it to make it more successful. And
Right.
that's why I went that, and because it was a very important part of, I felt like, defining art in East Texas and giving these artists an opportunity to show their work.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I felt, and I interviewed those artists on the radio. It was like the vision board is a story. It's a story, and just like having someone on the radio and letting them tell their story, that is so very strong.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's what the vision
Yeah.
board does. It tells the story about where you are, and also you allowed it to, you approached it of, okay, this is where you are, but where do you want to be?
Right. I like that you said allow, because there's not, most of us, most adults, I'm going to have to say, I think kiddos too, but most of us want to figure it out. You know, we're so used to figuring things out. With a vision board, it's not necessary that you figure out every step to do the next step. I think you can just simply put the end result of the trip to the country, and you don't have to figure out all of the steps
Where you're going to buy
get
gas.
you. Yes. 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 Which, if you go west, you do need to figure it out. But anyway, because gas stations are not as frequent. But I want to tell you about my story, because I just was blown away. When I was searching my magazines to make, and I used in the very beginning a vision board package that you could get from Jack Canfield's. He sells them still to this day, and it's a
Yeah.
package of a board that can fold. It's got all the statements. It's very complete. So if any of you want a complete package, one-stop shopping, you can go to Jack Canfield's and pay for that privilege of having one-stop shopping. But there's still very good items to create your vision board with. So anyway, I had my vision board, and I've been going through creating it, and I've been going through pictures. And so I enjoy singing. I, from time to time, take voice lessons. I always want to be able to sing. And, I'm kind of shy. I know that it's hard to believe, but I am when it comes to singing. So I'm much better in the choral situation. But anyway, here was Oprah handing with both of her hands together, and in her hands was a microphone. And I went, oh, that is my picture. So I cut it out, and it's on my vision board. And I still have that vision board, because you're not going to tear down your vision board. And so anyway, but what I had expected is I thought it was my voice, my singing voice. And come to find out, I think shortly after that, because I was working with a publicist, she put me in touch with a guy that had a podcast. And I was like, all of a sudden, I was on his show. It was a weekly show. Terry Miller was his name. And so, anyway, I was soon doing, then he offered me 30 minutes. So I was moving into podcasting. Then over one day, the whole thing stopped, and I moved from local radio to podcast world, which is where I've stayed for last 10 or 15 years. No, 7 years, I think. So, I mean, to me, and I look back at that and I go, oh my goodness. I had no idea that was all going to fold, come out, be, because I thought it was telling me another way. I love the synchronicity of using a vision board.
Yes, yes. Can I tell you what happened to me? And it's kind of similar.
Okay.
I was in New Mexico, and this is how it happened. I pulled up in front of Wells Fargo Bank to go in, and I get this phone call. And it's a lady friend of mine, and we're prayer partners. And she said, Nita Fran, I just want to tell you, I've got this scripture that I've got to tell you about, and I keep seeing your face, and I've got to tell you I'm supposed to. And it was about using my voice to further the word. I said, okay, I will go look it up, and I'll think about this. Within 3 weeks, the radio station there in Las Vegas, New Mexico, called me and asked me to do a radio show about artists. And I did it 7 years out there. Yes, Joy.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes. So
that
is in the same vein of it was supposed to be.
Yes.
And if we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, it is going to be successful. And the words that we use are going to have impact and be helpful to other people. And we have to be so responsible for those words that we use.
Yeah. Yes. I love that we have so much power if we'll just harness it. We'll just put our minds to it, like the vision board. I really want people to know the importance of the vision board, and as you say, prayer also, in bringing that life that you want.
Absolutely. And Joyce, in the vision board, what you give people the opportunity to do, because not everybody is visual. I deal with that all the time as an interior designer. I see what they're talking about. They really don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what they want. They know they want some help.
Right.
And so that's what happens. I'm sure many people that come to you, they're not visual. They may be very auditory, or they learn in a different way, but they're not visual. And to do a vision board is a whole different thing for them, and it opens up a different way of their thinking.
Yes, yes. I would say the majority of my classes are filled with women, but that's also who I speak to most of the time. But I will say, as I mentioned in the first half of the show, that I did this with a real estate company, and I'd say there were probably 4 men that came. I mean, it was kind of like you will be there. And so I think they enjoyed doing it where they normally wouldn't. It might not have been their first pick, but it was a wonderful day. And I love when you can get men and women in the same room, because there's a different energy than if they're just women.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's not, I'm not saying anything. I'm just announcing that you definitely feel it, so it's a great way to spend, but it was a great experience. So I do encourage people to, uh, if they can, mix the energies of the male and the female, and also to do vision boards. Now, how can people follow you on, like, go to your website? Would you like to tell them how to connect with you in the future?
Yes, they can go to artconnectionetx.org, and every show that we have done, we have it on a podcast there. And they can see the different artists that we've interviewed and listen to it if they choose. And it's been, we've been 5 years. March the 5th, we will have been doing it 5 years in Tyler. And we've interviewed lots and lots of artists. And, I'd like to tell people I've interviewed tattoo artists, and I've interviewed guys who paint old cars and renew these old cars, because all of that is art. It's their way of expressing their art.
Now, Nita Friend, you had me on your show twice, and I'm so grateful for that. Why was I there?
And yes, last year, and we're going to do it again, because I like to keep up with those people like you in the community who are making things happen, who are putting their voices out there and giving a voice to other people, letting them tell their story. And that's what you do. I follow Kathy Crafe for the same reason, because she does a lot of the same things that you and I do. I just don't do mine on a podcast. We do ours live every Saturday morning on KTBB 97.5 FM from 8 to 9 in the morning, and we do it every Saturday morning. Sometimes we tape it if it's necessary for the artist or for our schedule, but most of the time our shows are live. We don't script it. We don't do anything like that. We sit down and we look at each other, and we just have a good conversation.
So do you record can you rerun a show?
We could, yes, because it's recorded and then they take it and put it into the podcast. Yes, we could. I've only done that, I think, one time. And, Joyce, I'll tell you, even the year that I was going through the breast cancer, I missed one show. That's how committed I am to doing this. I missed one show, and that was the show following my surgery. I just feel like it is so important for the artists to get the word out there about what is happening in East Texas. And we focus a lot on East Texas Symphony Orchestra. We focus a lot on Tyler Museum of Art and on the schools.
Right. Yes, you are very community. You represent so many different fingers in the community that add quality to East Texas. I like that.
Well, now, Joyce,
how many different artists do you represent?
Okay. We represent 54 here in the gallery.
Okay.
And
are they from all over East Texas, or what's the area they reach?
Rockwall, and all the way past Longview, and down past Palestine, and up past Mount Pleasant.
Are you unique in that you do this?
I think so. Because we only do original art. We do no copies. We do no giclées. We only do original art. We change it out twice a year. And we represent 54 of these local artists. And they have to come in and they have to interview to be part of the gallery, because I am as protected of the artists that are already in here as I am of the new artists coming in. And by protective, I mean I want them to feel like they're part of the Valarosa family, and that's how I see it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Can I go back just for a second and say something?
Sure.
One of the best things that happened about Art Connection was when Sandy Newton, who is the director for visual and performing arts for Tyler ISD, she approached me and said, "I want to help you. Let me know what I can do to help you." And it was shortly after that I needed a co-host, and so she just stepped right in, and it has been such a bonus for me having her. She not only brings other artists but that perspective of what I wanted to focus on, because Bill was a school superintendent, retired school superintendent for public
Yeah.
schools, and I wanted to promote that.
Right. So have you been able to grow and focus on young artists as well?
Yes, I have. We have some, but
Mhm.
I will tell you, young artists, they have a different way many times of putting their art out there. I have about 8 young artists that I would say are 35 and under.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, Joyce, don't even begin working as an artist until they retire. That's the most interesting thing for me.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many artists have come in here and said, I just began painting, and I'm 71.
Yeah.
The other
Cool.
thing that's so interesting is, remember Galen Dingler, who was the art
Yes.
teacher over at,
Yeah.
there are 7 artists here in the gallery that were his students. Now, is that
That's
not awesome? Is that
That's
not awesome? That tells you how strong art can be in our public schools.
Right. Well, Nita Fran, I have the sad news of saying we're at the end of our hour. And you
We could
only got
talk
here
forever.
30 minutes.
We could talk forever. I've
We
enjoyed it, Joyce.
could.
I always enjoy
Thank
being with you. You just brighten up my day.
Oh,
And
thank
I
you.
will check in on you on next Saturday for the vision board. You
Yes.
start at 9:00?
We hope so. Yes.
Okay.
9
All
o'clock.
right.
So anyway, I want to thank you listeners out there for being here today. I hope that you have found a stepping stone to help you with this year, 2021. I want you to go to joycebufordempowers.com/VB guide, and there you can start, then re-listen to this show. I thank you for being here this year. I want only the best for you, and it can be if you'll simply do a vision board. So have a great week.
Make
Go
it a
buy your
great year.
supplies.
Bye, Joyce. Bye, honey.
Bye.
Joyce Buford returns next week at the same time for another edition of Second Wind. Through the Joyce Buford Empowerment System, women are receiving the support they need through their transitions and are able to reclaim their true purpose with confidence. They receive the tools they need to map out new lives. You can find out more about her coaching services at joycebufordempowers.com.